The night was quiet, the streets empty. Only the dim lights of broken lamps gave a weak glow. The human walked slowly, carrying his small bag, thinking it was just another long day. His life was simple, ordinary, nothing special. But then he heard footsteps, soft, light, almost like a child following. He turned his head and saw her. A tiny figure standing under the flickering lamp. Her eyes shone like two stars, her hair silver as moonlight. She was not human. Her ears were sharp, her skin faintly glowing. She was an alien girl, small, delicate. Yet her stance was strong. She stepped forward, her little voice steady. "I am your bodyguard now," she declared. Her words clear though her body seemed fragile. "From this moment, I swear to protect you." The man blinked, shocked. He almost laughed. How could this little alien girl protect anyone? She was shorter than his shoulder, thinner than his arm. She looked like the wind itself could push her over. "Are you serious?" he asked, half in disbelief. She nodded firmly, no hesitation in her eyes. "Yes, my life belongs to you now. I will keep you safe, even if it costs me everything." Her words echoed in the silence. The human felt uneasy. He had never met her before. He had no idea why she would say such a thing. His chest tightened with questions. Who was she? Why him? What danger did she mean? He took a step back, but she followed, quick and sure, her small feet making no sound. "Stay close," she whispered. "The shadows are not safe tonight." The human laughed nervously. "Shadows? What are you talking about? There's nothing here, just empty streets." Yet even as he spoke, a shiver ran down his spine. The way her eyes darted to the corners, the way she held her small glowing blade. It felt real. She moved closer, so near he could feel the warmth of her strange skin. Her presence was soft, but her voice was like steel. "Trust me. Danger is near. You do not see it, but I do." The man swallowed, confused. Part of him wanted to run away. Part of him wanted to believe her. Her size said she was weak, but her eyes told another story. They were eyes that had seen battles, eyes that had carried pain. "Why me?" he asked softly. "Why do you want to protect me?" She lowered her head for a moment, then raised it again with unshaken resolve. "Because it is my oath. My people swore long ago, one day, one of us will protect a human with our life. I am that one, and you are the human I have chosen." His heart pounded. The night felt colder. He wanted to tell her to go away, but something in her voice chained him. Something in her tiny figure standing against the dark made him feel both weak and strangely safe. A sudden sound broke the silence, a rustle in the shadows. The human's breath caught. She instantly stepped in front of him, her little body forming a shield, her glowing blade humming in her hand. He looked at her, trembling. "What's out there?" he whispered. Her voice was low but sure. "Hunters, not human. They seek you, but they will not touch you while I live." The man's stomach dropped. His heart raced. Hunters, aliens, danger. None of it made sense. Yet the way she said it left no doubt. The street grew colder. The shadows stretched longer. He wanted to deny it all. Yet he could not move. His eyes stayed locked on her small back. She was tiny, fragile. Yet she stood like a wall. The silence stretched. Nothing attacked. But the fear stayed. He whispered again. "You're just a girl. Why risk yourself for me?" She turned her head slightly, her silver hair brushing her glowing cheek. "Because you are human, and because I swore, I do not break my promise." The man's throat tightened. Her words struck something deep inside him. He did not understand why, but he could not laugh anymore. This was no joke. This was real. He felt her warmth near him, her presence pressing against the fear of the night. And though he wanted to call her foolish, he found himself whispering back, "Then stay, if you really mean it." She smiled faintly, almost invisible, but her eyes softened for the first time. "I will never leave." And in that moment, under the broken streetlight, with the cold night pressing in, the human realized something he could not explain. He was shaking, not from fear of the shadows, but from the touch of her promise, the weight of her oath, and the strange comfort of her tiny, alien presence beside him. The night grew colder as the human walked faster. his tiny alien bodyguard never leaving his side. She moved silently, her small feet touching the ground without sound, her eyes sharp, scanning every corner. The human tried to act calm, but his chest felt heavy, his hands shook slightly. He could not forget her words. Hunters? The word echoed in his head, making the darkness feel thicker. Every broken lamp, every empty alley, now seemed alive with hidden eyes. He whispered, "You're just imagining things, aren't you? There's nothing here." But his voice betrayed him, weak and unsure. The alien girl stopped suddenly, raising her glowing blade. The faint blue light cast strange shadows across the cracked walls. She didn't speak, only lifted her small hand, signaling him to stay quiet. The human's breath caught. He listened, and then he heard it too, faint steps echoing from the darkness behind them. Slow, steady, deliberate. Fear crawled into his chest, his heart raced. He wanted to run, but her little figure stood firm. "They are here?" she whispered, her voice low, steady like iron. "Do not move." The human turned his head, his eyes searching the shadows. At first, he saw nothing. But then, shapes appeared, tall, twisted, their eyes glowing faint red in the dark. 3 figures stepping forward slowly. The human gasped, his legs weakening. They were not human. Their bodies stretched and armored, claws glinting, faces covered with strange masks that hissed with smoke. The tiny bodyguard held her blade tighter, the glow pulsing like her heartbeat. She stood in front of him, though she looked no larger than a child compared to those hunters. One of the masked figures spoke, his voice mechanical, deep. "Human, you will come with us. Do not resist. The key must not be harmed." The man's blood froze. The key, what did that mean? Why him? He wanted to ask, but before he could, the tiny alien girl stepped forward, her small voice cutting through the night like lightning. "No, you will not touch him, as long as I live." The hunters laughed, their voices like broken machines. "You, little insect, you think you can stand against us?" But she did not flinch, her glowing blade hummed louder, her silver hair caught the weak light. Her presence seemed bigger than her body. The human whispered, "We should run. Please, we can't fight them." But she shook her head slightly, her eyes never leaving the enemies. "If we run, they will chase. If we stand, they will fall." He wanted to argue, but his throat locked. There was something in her voice, a certainty that made his fear tremble. The hunters stepped closer, claws scraping the ground. One raised his long blade, pointing at the human. "Last warning? Hand him over." The little alien bodyguard raised her chin, her glowing blade cutting a blue line through the dark. "Come and try," she said, her voice strong, fierce. Though her hands trembled slightly, the air grew heavier, the shadows closing in. The human's knees nearly buckled. He thought she was crazy. How could this small girl face monsters like these? But at the same time, he felt something new rising inside him, a strange faith. The hunters lunged forward, their claws flashing. In that moment, the tiny alien moved faster than his eyes could follow. Her glowing blade clashed against metal, sparks lighting the night. Her small body spun, dodged, struck with precision. The human stumbled back, his heart pounding, fear mixed with awe. She was tiny, fragile, but she moved like fire. The hunters growled, striking again and again. But she stood firm, her blade cutting through the air, each movement filled with desperate strength. One of the enemies slashed close, and she jumped back, almost falling. But her eyes burned brighter. She refused to yield. The human's chest ached. He could not just watch, but his body refused to move. He felt useless, weak, compared to her courage. The hunters paused for a moment, circling. One sneered, "She cannot protect you for long, human. She is small. She will break." But before he could laugh again, she struck forward, her blade slicing across his mask, sparks flying. The creature roared in pain, staggering back. The human gasped, shock flooding him. She had heard it. Her tiny frame had done the impossible. Her breathing was heavy now, sweat shining on her glowing skin. But she stood tall, whispering without turning her head, Stay behind me. No matter what, do not run. The man's lips trembled. He wanted to shout, to tell her it was hopeless. But the words never left. He realized then. She was not protecting him out of duty only. She was protecting him with her heart, with everything she had. The hunters growled, regrouping, their eyes glowing brighter. The battle was not over. The shadows were thick with danger. The human stood frozen, his mind spinning, fear choking him. But one thought cut through the chaos. One truth he could not ignore. This tiny alien girl was all that stood between him and death. And even though he shook with terror, deep inside, he began to wonder, if she could fight for him, could he find the strength to fight for her? The battle had shaken the street. Sparks still glowed on the ground. Broken pieces of metal scattered near the walls. The hunters had pulled back, hiding in the shadows, but their threat remained heavy in the air. The human's chest rose and fell quickly, sweat damp on his forehead. He could not believe he was still alive. It felt unreal, like a nightmare he could not wake from. The tiny alien girl stood in front of him, her blade still glowing faintly, her breathing sharp, her small shoulders trembling with effort. She had fought like fire against giants, yet her body was still so small. He whispered, his voice shaky, "You should have run, you almost died." She turned her head slightly, her glowing eyes locking onto his. "If I ran, you would be dead now." Her voice was soft but carried steel. The human's stomach tightened. He could not argue. He knew she was right. As she lowered her blade, her knees buckled. The human instinctively reached out, his hand catching her arm. Her skin pressed against his palm, warm, soft, but filled with a strange energy. A spark ran up his arm, making him shiver. He gasped, his heart leaping. The touch was not normal. It was like holding fire wrapped in silk. It was alive, powerful, something beyond human. The alien girl's eyes widened for a second, her lips parting slightly. She felt it too. Her body stiffened, and then she whispered, almost too quietly, "Do not let go." The human trembled, confused, his hand still holding her small arm. His breath quickened. It was not fear alone. It was something else, something deeper that scared him even more. He quickly pulled his hand back, stumbling a step away. What was that?" he whispered. She looked down, her silver hair falling over her face. "It is our bond," she said slowly. "Once I swore to protect you. Our lives touched. When we touch, you feel what I feel." The human's eyes widened. The idea sent a chill down his spine. "What you feel? You mean your heart, your pain, everything?" She nodded softly. "Yes, even fear, even strength." He swallowed hard, his body still shaking. He could not stop remembering the heat of her skin, the way his chest tightened, the strange comfort mixed with fear. A sound from the shadows made him flinch. One of the hunters let out a growl, still watching from afar, not attacking, only waiting. The alien girl raised her blade again, though her arms shook with exhaustion. "They are not gone," she whispered. "They are waiting, hunting, watching." The human moved closer without thinking, his voice low. "You're hurt, aren't you?" She hesitated, then nodded slightly. "It is nothing. As long as I stand, I will fight." The human clenched his fists, anger rising against his fear. "You can't fight forever, not alone." Her glowing eyes softened for a moment. "You are braver than you think," she whispered. "I felt it when you touched me, your fear, but also your fire. You have strength inside you. You just do not see it yet." His throat tightened. Her words struck deep. He wanted to deny it, but something inside him stirred. The hunters shifted in the shadows, their red eyes glowing again. The tension rose. The human's mind raced. He looked at her, so small, trembling, yet refusing to step back. He realized if she fell, there would be no one left to protect him. Without thinking, he stepped forward, his hand brushing against hers again. The touch sent another spark through his body, but this time, he did not pull away. She gasped softly, looking at him with surprise. "Why?" she whispered. His voice shook, but he forced the words. Because if we're bound, then I won't let you stand alone. For a moment, silence hung between them. Her eyes widened, then softened, her lips trembling, and for the first time since he met her, the tiny alien girl smiled, faint but real. The hunters growled louder, stepping closer, the danger thick again. But the human no longer felt only fear. He felt the fire she had spoken of, a warmth inside that came from her touch. The alien girl lifted her blade higher, her voice stronger now. Together then, she whispered. The human nodded, his chest still shaking, his legs still weak, but his hands steady against hers. In the shadows, the hunters prepared for another strike, their claws gleaming red, their eyes burning like fire. The human swallowed hard, fear still alive in him. But something new had awakened, something that shook him more than death itself, the bond of her touch, the fire of her promise. And as the night thickened, he realized a truth that made him shiver. Not only was she his protector, but her touch was changing him, pulling him into something he did not yet understand, something that left him shaking more than the threat of the hunters ever could. The night stretched endlessly. The hunters did not strike again, but their red eyes glowed from the shadows like burning coals. The human stood frozen, his breath sharp, his hands still trembling against the alien girl's. The tiny bodyguard's blade hummed softly, glowing blue, though her arms shook with exhaustion. Her eyes did not waver. She watched the shadows with fierce focus. Every second felt like a thread pulled tighter. Finally, one of the hunters stepped forward, tall and armored, his mask hissing with smoke, the red glow behind it flaring brighter. His voice was deep, mechanical, filled with hate. The human must come with us. The orders are clear. The key must be taken. The human's chest tightened. That word again. The key, he wanted to shout, to demand answers. But his throat felt dry, the fear too heavy. The alien girl moved one step forward, placing her small frame between him and the towering hunter. You will not touch him, she said firmly, her voice carrying more courage than her size should allow. The hunter tilted his head, his mask hissing louder. You are small, your blade is weak, you cannot protect him forever. Her grip tightened, the blade glowing brighter. I will die before I let you take him. The human's breath caught. His heart ached hearing her words. She was willing to throw her life away for him. And he still did not know why. Another hunter moved closer, his claws scraping against the ground, sparks flying. He does not even know what he is. Why guard him? Why waste your life for nothing? The human blinked, confusion twisting with fear. What I am, he whispered. But his words were lost in the cold air. The alien girl answered for him, her voice steady. Because he is human, and that is enough. He does not need to know yet. But I know, and that is why he must live. The hunters laughed, their voices like broken glass, mocking and cruel. You think your oath matters, little one. Your people are weak. Your kind is fading. But he is the prize we were promised. The human's stomach turned. Promised. To who? What did they mean? His mind swirled with questions, fear mixing with anger. The alien girl's blade hummed louder, cutting through their laughter. I do not care what you were promised. I will keep my word. He is mine to protect. The hunters spread out, circling slowly, their claws gleaming, their eyes fixed on the human like predators waiting to strike. The man could not stand it any longer. His voice cracked as he shouted, Why me? What do you want from me? The tallest hunter tilted his head, the red glow in his mask burning brighter. Because you are the key to the gate, human, your blood carries what we need. With you, the seal will break. The old power will be ours again. The human staggered back, his heart pounding. A gate, a seal, old power. None of it made sense, but the fear in his chest told him it was real. The alien girl's voice cut through the night. He will never open your gate. His blood is not yours to take. The hunters growled, their claws raised, their patience thin. You cannot stop us, little protector. When you fall, he will be ours. The human's breath shook, but something in him stirred, anger rising through his fear. He clenched his fists, his voice breaking but strong. "No, I won't go with you. I don't care what you want." The hunters hissed in fury. The air crackled with tension. They crouched low, ready to strike. The tiny alien girl lifted her blade high, her eyes glowing like fire. Though her body trembled, she shouted, "Then you will have to go through me." Her words cut the silence like thunder. The hunters roared, charging forward, claws slashing, the ground trembling under their steps. The human's chest seized, fear flooding him again. But he could not look away. He saw her tiny frame standing firm against monsters that towered over her, her blade glowing brighter than the broken street lamps. The clash came like lightning. Her blade met their claws, sparks exploding, the sound of metal and fire filling the air. The hunters struck again and again, but she stood strong, her movements desperate yet unyielding. The human stumbled back, his heart racing, his hands shaking. He wanted to run, but his legs rooted to the ground. He could not abandon her, not after hearing the truth, not after feeling her touch. One hunter slashed close, his claws nearly grazing the human. But the alien girl jumped between them, her blade flashing, cutting across its arm. The creature howled in rage, staggering back. Her breath was ragged now, her face pale, but her eyes burned with fire. She did not stop. The human whispered hoarsely, "Why are you doing this for me?" She shouted through the clash of blades. "Because you are the one I chose. Because my oath is not chains. It is my heart." The words struck him harder than the battle itself. His chest tightened. His throat burned. He wanted to answer, but the hunters screamed, rushing again, forcing her to fight. The night shook with their clash, the truth heavy in the air. The hunters wanted him because he was the key, and the only shield between him and them was the tiny alien girl who swore she would never let go. And as her glowing blade cut through the darkness again, the human realized something that made him tremble more than fear. The enemy had been revealed, but the true battle had only just begun. The street was silent again, broken only by the distant hum of the alien girl's glowing blade. The hunters had fallen back, but their red eyes still lingered in the shadows, waiting, watching, never gone. The human leaned against the wall, his chest rising and falling fast, his body trembling with exhaustion and fear. But more than fear, it was confusion. His mind could not let go of what he had heard. The key, the gate, his blood, it made no sense, yet the danger was real. He turned his gaze to the tiny alien bodyguard. She stood in front of him, her blade trembling in her grip, her silver hair sticking to her damp skin, sweat shining faintly under the weak light. She looked fierce, but fragile at the same time. Her knees bent suddenly, almost giving out. The human rushed forward, catching her before she fell, his hands gripping her shoulders. Again he felt that strange warmth, the spark that made his heart race. "You're hurt," he whispered, his voice low. "You can't keep fighting like this." She shook her head, forcing herself to stand straight, her glowing eyes still sharp. "I cannot stop. As long as you live, I must fight." Her words stabbed into his chest, filling him with guilt. He looked at her small frame, her trembling arms, the blade too heavy for her size, and anger rose inside him, not at her, but at the cruel vow that forced her to carry such a burden. He whispered, "You're strong, but you're still breaking. I can see it." She turned her face slightly, her lips tightening. "Strength is not the absence of weakness," she said softly. "Strength is standing even when your body wants to fall." The human's throat tightened. He wanted to argue, but her words felt heavier than steel. Still, he could not ignore the truth. She was wearing herself down. Every clash against the hunters drained her. Every breath came harder. She was risking not just her life, but her very soul. He clenched his fists, his chest burning. "You can't do this alone forever. I can't just hide behind you while you bleed for me." Her eyes widened. She looked at him quietly, her expression unreadable. Finally she whispered, "You speak like one who is ready to stand, but your body shakes with fear." The man lowered his head, ashamed. "Maybe it does, but I don't want to watch you fall. I can't." A silence stretched between them. broken only by the hiss of wind through the cracked street. She reached out slowly, her small fingers brushing against his arm. The touch sent that same spark through his body, a warmth mixed with fire, her voice soft but firm. Then hold on to that, your fear, your anger, even your guilt. They can break you, or they can give you strength. Which will you choose? The human's breath caught. He could not answer, his chest heavy with emotions he could not name. From the shadows, one of the hunters growled, the sound cutting through their moment, the red glow of its eyes shifting closer. The alien girl raised her blade again, but her arm shook harder, the weight almost dragging it down. The human saw it clearly. She was reaching her limit. He stepped closer, his hand wrapping around hers, steadying the blade, their fingers touching, their bond flaring again like fire between them. She gasped softly, her glowing eyes snapping to his. "Why?" she whispered, almost breathless. His voice shook, but his words came firm. "Because if your strength is breaking, then I'll share mine. You don't have to carry this alone." Her lips parted, surprise in her expression. Then a faint smile touched her face, fragile but real. "Perhaps you are not as weak as you believe." The hunters hissed in the dark, angry, restless. They began to move again, their claws scraping the ground, their voices cruel. "She cannot last, little protector. You will fall, and then he is ours." The alien girl straightened, leaning against his support, her small frame steadying, her voice fierce again. "Then come, and see how long I last." The human's chest tightened, but this time, instead of fear alone, something stronger rose inside. He no longer saw her weakness as failure. He saw it as proof of her courage, and he realized his own strength had been hidden behind his fear all along. The hunters growled, circling again, their shadows crawling along the walls. The human's heart raced, his body trembling. But he held on to her hand, to the fire that sparked between them, to the vow she carried and the bond they now shared. And in that moment he understood something. Her weakness did not make her less. It made her more, because even with weakness, she stood. And if she could stand in the face of monsters, then maybe he could too. The night thickened, danger closing in again. But the human no longer felt only fear. He felt the beginning of something else. Strength born from her weakness, courage born from her touch. And as the hunters stepped closer, their claws gleaming red, he whispered softly, almost to himself, "We'll stand together, no matter what." The alien girl heard him, and for the first time since the night began, she smiled fully, a smile both fierce and tender. "Yes," she whispered back, "together." The night carried heavy silence after the hunters pulled back again, their glowing eyes fading into the distance. The human leaned against the broken wall, his breath ragged, his body trembling. He had never felt fear like this before. Yet in the middle of that fear, something else grew stronger, a bond he could not deny. The tiny alien girl sat on the cracked pavement, her glowing blade resting across her knees, her chest rising and falling, her silver hair clinging to her damp face. Though her body looked exhausted, her eyes burned with fire still. The human lowered himself beside her, his voice quiet. "You can't keep this up forever." She looked at him, her small lips pressing tight. "It does not matter how long. I swore to protect you, and I will keep that vow." The human's heart ached. He wanted to understand. He needed to know why someone so small, so fragile, would throw her life away for him, a stranger. His voice broke as he whispered, Why would you swear something like that for me?" For a long moment, she stayed silent, her eyes lost in the shadows around them. Finally, she spoke softly, her words carrying the weight of memory. "Long ago, when my people were dying, it was your kind, humans, who saved us." The human blinked, confused. "Saved you? How?" Her glowing eyes turned toward him, shimmering like stars. "Our world was poisoned. The air burned. The rivers dried. We had no future. But humans came, with ships, with medicine, with kindness. You gave us life when we had none." His chest tightened. He had never heard such a story, his voice weak. "That was long before me. It had nothing to do with me. She shook her head, firm. To us, it does not matter. One life saved by humans is a debt carried forever. Our elders made an oath. One of us would one day protect a human with everything, with life, with soul, with heart, and I was chosen to carry that oath. The human swallowed hard, the truth sinking in. Her vow was not random. It was not madness. It was history. A promise carved into her people, but her voice softened then, almost breaking. At first, it was only duty, only law, but when I saw you, when I touched you, it changed. She paused, her fingers tightening on her blade. Now it is not just an oath of my people, it is my own. I want to protect you, not because I must, but because I cannot bear to lose you. The human's heart slammed against his ribs. Her words struck deeper than any blade. His throat locked. He wanted to speak, but no words came. She lowered her head, her silver hair falling like a curtain. I am small, weak compared to the hunters. I know that, but every time I stand between you and death, I feel something I cannot explain. It gives me strength beyond my body, and that strength comes from you. The human trembled, the guilt inside him rising again. He whispered, "You shouldn't throw your life away for me. I'm not worth it." Her glowing eyes snapped back to his, fierce and bright. "Do not say that. You do not see yourself, but I do. Your fear, your fire, your heart. I felt them when you touched me. You are worth more than you believe." The human turned his face away, his eyes burning. Her words cut through him. He had lived his whole life thinking he was ordinary, nothing special. Yet this tiny alien girl was willing to face monsters and death just to keep him alive. A soft growl echoed from the shadows. The hunters were still near, waiting, circling like wolves. But for the first time, the human's fear did not choke him completely. He whispered, his voice trembling but stronger than before. "If your oath is real, then let me make one too. I'll stand with you. No matter what comes, you're not alone anymore." The alien girl's lips parted, her eyes wide, then soft, shining like wet stars. "You would swear that?" she whispered, her voice almost breaking. He nodded, though his body shook. "Yes, if you'll fight for me, then I'll fight for you together." For a moment, silence wrapped around them. Then she reached out her small hand, her fingers brushing against his, the touch sparking fire through his chest. She whispered, "Then our bond is true." The hunter's red eyes glowed again in the distance, moving closer, but the fear inside him no longer felt the same. It was still there, but now it burned with something else. Strength born from her secret, from her heart, from the vow they now shared. The tiny alien girl stood again, her blade humming, her small figure glowing in the dark. She turned her head toward him, a faint smile on her lips. "The night is not over. The battle still waits, but now, I do not fight alone." The human rose beside her, his body still trembling, but his heart steady for the first time. He whispered back, "Neither do I." And as the hunters stepped from the shadows, claws raised, eyes blazing, the truth of her oath hung between them. A vow written not just in history, but now in their hearts, unbreakable, unshaken. The night was alive with the sound of claws against stone. The hunters stepped fully into the open now, their red eyes glowing brighter than fire, their armored bodies glinting under the weak street lamps. The ground seemed to shake under their steps. The human's heart pounded like thunder. Fear tried to drag him down. But beside him the tiny alien girl stood tall, her glowing blade humming like a heartbeat, her silver hair glowing faintly in the dark. She was small, fragile, yet she faced them without flinching. She whispered, just loud enough for him to hear, "Stay close, do not run, no matter what happens." He nodded, his throat dry, but this time he did not argue. He had sworn his own vow, and though his body trembled, he meant it. The hunters spread out, circling like wolves around prey. One hissed, his voice metallic and cruel. "You cannot win, little protector. You are weak. Your human is ours." The alien girl raised her chin, her eyes burning like fire. "Then come and see how weak I am." With a roar, the hunters lunged, claws flashing. The night exploded with sparks as her glowing blade clashed against steel. The sound of metal against metal echoed through the broken street. The human stumbled back but did not flee. His eyes fixed on her small figure moving like lightning. She spun, blocked, and struck, each movement fierce though her arms shook with exhaustion. One of the hunters broke past her guard, its claw slashing toward the man. He froze, but before the strike could land, she darted forward, her small body colliding with the creature, her blade slashing across its chest. The hunter roared in pain, sparks showering the ground. The human gasped, his chest tightening. He whispered hoarsely, "You saved me again." She didn't look back, her voice sharp. "And I will save you again, and again until I fall." The hunters pressed harder, their claws tearing into the street, their voices hissing. "She cannot hold. She will break." The human's anger rose, stronger than his fear. He shouted, "She won't break. Not while I'm here." He grabbed a broken metal pipe from the ground, his hands shaking. He had no training, no blade, but he refused to stand useless anymore. The alien girl's eyes flickered toward him for a second, shock and fire mixing in her gaze. "You fool," she whispered, but her lips curved into the faintest smile. The hunters roared, attacking again, their strength overwhelming. One knocked the girl down, her blade skidding across the ground. She cried out softly, her small body hitting the pavement hard. The human's heart nearly stopped, rage and terror clashing inside him. He charged forward without thinking, swinging the pipe wildly. It smashed against one hunter's arm, sparks flying. The creature hissed, more in surprise than pain, but it was enough. The alien girl pushed herself up, blood shining faintly on her skin. She grabbed her blade and rose again, her voice fierce. "Together!" The human nodded, breathless. Together, they stood side by side, small against giants, but unbroken. The hunters came with fury, their claws slashing, their red eyes blazing. But the girl moved faster, her blade slicing through the dark. The human swung his pipe with desperate strength. Every strike fueled not by skill but by will. The battle raged, sparks lighting the night. The air thick with growls and the clash of steel. The human felt every ache in his body, every tremor in his bones, but beside him, he felt her fire, her oath, her unshakable heart, and it kept him standing. Finally, with one last cry, the alien girl leapt high, her glowing blade slashing across the tallest hunter's mask. Sparks exploded, the mask shattered, the creature screamed, collapsing to the ground. The other hunters froze, their red eyes flickering, their growls fading, and then, slowly, they retreated into the shadows, hissing in rage but not daring to strike again. Silence fell heavy. The human dropped the pipe, his chest burning with exhaustion. His legs barely holding, the tiny alien girl stood swaying, her blade dimming, her small frame trembling. He caught her before she fell, his arms wrapping around her light body, her warmth pressing against him, his voice shaking. "You did it! We survived!" Her eyes opened slowly, glowing faintly, her lips forming a tired smile. "No, we did it. I told you, you are stronger than you believe." The human's throat tightened, his heart racing. He held her closer, whispering, "You're wrong about one thing. You gave me that strength. Without you, I would have been nothing." Her hand rose weakly, brushing against his chest, the touch sparking fire through him again. "Then never let it fade. Promise me you will keep that strength, even if I am gone." His voice broke. "Don't say that. You're not leaving me, not after all this." Her glowing eyes softened, filled with both pain and something gentler. "Then I will stay, as long as you need me." The human shook, not from fear anymore, but from something far stronger, something dangerous, something that burned every time she touched him. The night was quiet again, the hunters gone for now, but the bond they had forged stood unbroken. The human looked at her, this tiny alien bodyguard who had sworn her life for his, and he realized the truth that left him trembling. The world had changed tonight, not because of the hunters, not because of the oath, but because of her, her vow, her touch, her heart. And though the danger was not over, though more battles would come, one truth burned brighter than the darkness around them. They would face it together, and nothing, Not fear, not fate, not even death, would break the bond they now shared.